We're going to shoot into a topic that I'm very, very passionate about, which is how to act normal when you're around somebody who you perceive as being higher status than you, or when you go into an environment where you feel a little bit intimidated and you start overanalyzing. The reason why I'm personally so passionate about this is because I remember, I'm sitting here right now at 39, being 20, 21, 22 years old, and walking into a bar or club or some kind of party or maybe talking to somebody, and my mind was going haywire.
You can observe the fact that the most successful, the highest status individuals, oftentimes they're kind of above these normal conversations where they're just so busy, or oftentimes people don't realize that it's their assistants that are actually messaging oftentimes.
Yep.
And it's kind of the first time that happens to you, it's kind of an embarrassing and enlightening thing where you realize you're texting with somebody that you got the number of who's either famous or he's successful, or maybe she's somebody that can get you to where you want to be. And then you end up realizing that it's the assistant texting you these one-line messages. And then it kind of hits you at first. You kind of realize, oh, this person can't even bother to send me any messages, let alone a big block of messages. And then you can probably dive into a recent example that we had. You're kind of showing me. I saw this like weird. We're in a cab, or we're in an Uber rather, and you kind of have this weird look on your face. It's like a very like disturbed, wrinkly face. Like you kind of look at your face, you just scrunch a little bit. I'm like, oh, what's wrong? You go, oh, this person messaged me, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I know who that is. And you kind of show me the messages, and it's just this endless rambling on why the two of you should meet up. But the weirdest part is you'd already asked if you want to meet up.
I was excited to meet up.
You were excited to meet up with this person for a drink or food or coffee or what have you. And then he just starts rambling about why it's still a good idea to meet up. And with a kind of a judgmental tone to it, proving to you why you guys should meet up, almost in this inception kind of pattern. But you'd already agreed.
Trying to put me into some kind of frame where I'm qualifying to him.
Trying to get you to qualify to him. But the funny part is once you've already established a meetup with someone who you perceive to be higher status than you, that's what you wanted out of the interaction. You want to maybe learn, you want to show how you can add value, but then instead to kind of create this weird power position, almost to assert himself as somebody who actually does know more than you about a topic. That you want to meet up with the successful person. So you've clearly already determined that person is higher status than you in some way. Maybe they're not necessarily better than you, but there's something you want to gain or learn from the other person. There's no benefit in you doing more, trying to prove yourself to the other person, when instead, if they've already agreed to meet with you, it's better to create that channel of communication and to be very simple about it.
Yeah, the way that I would put it is that you want to say as little as possible, but you want to say the exact right thing. And that's where it gets a little bit funny. And the exact right thing is something that is almost like a secret code that only a few super cool people can get by way of looking at it. So, for example, in Los Angeles, I have this big beard. And the joke that you could say is like, do you know how much money I pay to look this homeless? and so what it is that, in LA right now, and you can make your own opinion on this, but say you're in Hollywood. A lot of time, if you look at, say, Leo DiCaprio, he's dressed in this clothing that costs thousands of dollars that makes him look like a homeless person. And amongst the highest level circles, if you look at, say, Justin Bieber, guys like that, they're often dressing in this certain kind of laid back way, but in expensive brands. And it's sort of a hidden language that is so under the radar that the average person can't even see it. Now, this principle, whether you agree with my style assessment or not, you can have your own opinion. That's actually totally cool. But rather just for you to understand in a way that can help you, when I walk up to a bouncer to say walk into a bar, I know that the perfect thing to say if me and you walk in is, it's just us. I walk in as if it's completely normal. So I don't wait in. So here's the key. I don't wait in line too much because then it looks like I don't belong there. I don't aggressively jam my way to the front because then it looks like I'm a tryhard who's acting like a diva. Both will get a no. I will sort of casually make my way to the front, showing that I belong there, look the bouncer dead in the eye. It's very subtle, not trying too much, not trying too little, and just saying, it's just us. That's my highest chance. Not going to work every time. I can be declined at a bar. Don't get me wrong. If I don't know anybody, if I didn't prepare. But that's like the one perfect thing to say. It's just us. And it's amazing. It's not uncommon that I'll walk up in front of huge lines, walk to the front, and just say a couple things to the bouncer and right in. So in the same way, I want to get you thinking about that same, now don't worry whether or not you agree 100% with the bar example or the expensive homelessness example. Let's not get caught up in the actual analogy, but let's just focus on the principle because you can have your own opinion. I encourage that. I want you to think about that exact perfect thing to say and what is implied by that perfect thing to say. Well, look, here's how you think about it. Anybody who I've met who has piles of social connections, when you talk to them, they're going to send a shorter response, but not because they're trying to play too cool. It's not deliberately too short. It's a too short that comes from the fact that they are inundated with people. So they'll send certain emojis or they'll send certain kind of short text messages to you. And an example of that, if you look at it, is for example, say that you're talking to an attractive person and you want to know someone who maybe that attractive person is maybe hooking up with or something like that. It's not going to be, let's say it's on their social media, like their Instagram or something. It's not going to be those people who are saying, you're so amazing, you're so attractive, you're so incredible. It's not going to be that usually. It's usually going to be that one person who has the little fire emoji, or like, not even fire, because that's even probably too self-qualifying, like you're fire. It's more like,
it'd be more like a poop emoji.
Yeah, that or that in some cases could be too much, but that definitely could be one I've seen. Another one is like the picture of the guy or girl with the hands above the head going, ah, like that. Like it's just framing it as kind of cute and dorky, and it's very short, or a short one-liner. And as soon as I see that short one-liner, I go, oh, that's who that attractive person is probably hooking up with behind the scenes. It's not the person, you are so incredible and amazing, or that person who's saying, like, I've literally seen it where they'll go in and they'll say, just so you know, if you came through town, I might consider to take you for dinner at a very special spot. And it's like trying to do this, like, you're going to qualify to me thing that's premature and clearly not appropriate. So the power of doing less, very simply, is that understand the basic principle. How can we understand why that specific less is more approach works? Well, the first one, like I said, is that the person's too busy and in kind of a playful, light mood and just says something small, light, and playful, not too short to the point of being rude or trying to control the underlying meaning of the interaction. Like, I'm the one in charge in this creepy way. They're just doing it because it's naturally who they are. As soon as it looks deliberate or with intent, too creepy doesn't work. So a way to get that effect, by the way, is just make more friends. Make more friends. But also, if you can't make more friends right now, then simply get present to the moment and just be enjoying life and not overthinking things. Now, the second way, here's the next principle, and this is so, so powerful, which is that there's something in human nature where whenever we see someone who's high status, someone who's maybe attractive or high status or who has something we want, we will tend to overanalyze it and create a halo effect. Now, what'll happen is that when we see someone high status, our brains go haywire and we start seeing things that aren't there. We start overanalyzing. We're looking at every little motion they make, every little twitch of the eye. Somebody might see a celebrity and they'll look at that celebrity talking to the waitress or waiter and they'll say, oh, I could tell so much by seeing that. And then they'll go have a conversation with them and they'll repeat that conversation with them in their mind over and over and over. When you do too much or say too much, it shows that your mind is going haywire. It shows that your mind is in overdrive. When you're truly worthy to talk to somebody, you're able to feel comfortable holding their time and attention without your mind going haywire or second guessing yourself and kind of micro-analyzing and micromanage every little thing that you're doing. I mean, I've seen this for so many years in, say, the dating pool, and someone says, I really like this person, and they start analyzing how to attract that person. I'm like, stop analyzing it. If you really like that person, just go enjoy your life. Stop putting so much importance on it. But by analyzing it, making all this game playing, you're going to mess everything up. Just if you really like someone, and you're in your dating life, just go start enjoying your life more. Just get more recentered in your reality. So in the same way, you've got to be at ease, holding time and space without overanalyzing it. Like, is what I'm doing perfect? Is it? Just be at ease with it like it's completely normal. Just like walking up to the bouncer, that bouncer analogy, it's just normal when you walk up. And also, you have to be present to the moment and not be overthinking it. So it's a combination of how much you can hold time and space and how much you're not overthinking it. It's got to come across as congruent and natural and show that you are centered in your own reality and that you probably have a lot of friends and social alliances anyway, so you're not overanalyzing it.
Evie, you have a really good take on how to create vacuums in conversations and interactions. What is your take on this whole concept of less is more?
I would say, first of all, the way I learned social skills for myself is like by observing other people and what actually they do. I noticed that successful people in general, they have this thing where they're very comfortable talking, expressing their opinion, but they're also extremely good listeners. And for me, I was an introvert. And I never was able, first of all, to even express my opinion fully. But then I was also a bad listener because I would interrupt people in the wrong time. And I wasn't sure, like, if the person is talking, at what exactly time am I supposed to interrupt them? And how this whole thing's supposed to play out. So when I started observing people that are actually, quote unquote, you would call them cool, and people that have a lot of friends and people that have a lot of connections in general, they are extremely good at letting other person talk. When you actually take a moment, don't interrupt, and actually listen to what another person is expressing to you, you're actually a lot better in understanding of, like, what's the point, what's the agenda of this whole conversation. You're a lot better listener. You understand what they're trying to tell you. You actually are good at expressing what you want to tell them. And that just builds a good dynamic in any interaction that you might ever have. Now, the reason why I was always uncomfortable in terms of listening to other people, because whenever there's a gap, whenever there's like a pause, I always felt an awkward urge to fill that in. Always. It was always, you know, like when you talk to a person, you talk to someone, to your friend, and there's just a pause and nobody says anything and you feel extremely awkward and you have like tension that goes up like sometimes like even in your chest. That was the case for me. I feel the need to jump in to cover that spot. But in reality, if you just slow down and enjoy the power, not the power of now, but the power of silence, you'll notice that often you understand people better in general, and people start engaging in a conversation a lot more. In any social communication, there is a person who is at the effect and the person who is at the cause. You don't want to be always at the cause and always be the one pitching in. You want to slow down sometimes and let the other person talk. Now, typically this happens after you would say the person is interested enough to even invest in conversation to begin with. So the conversation has to be relatable and has to be about the topic that you guys both are interested in. But the key component here is I'm going to express my opinion, but then I'm going to slow down and fully be a good listener. And that's something that I was always missing. And I noticed that all my connections and all my amazing relationships are happening when I handled my shortcomings in social communication. And I handled that, I think, pretty well in terms of being a good communicator and being a good listener as well. And that builds amazing relationship in any area in life in general. And the amount of business connections that you got from just being like a good listener and actually getting into like, okay, what does this person want? What's their agenda? What's their, like, what the value that are trying to get out of it? And in general, your life improves just in every area. It's amazing in the past, I would say 5 years or so, of how like progression that I never even thought was possible at all. Now, a lot of this comes from just confidence that I can talk on any topic for a certain amount of time. So it comes from me probably reading a lot of books and studying a lot of content, studying a lot of speakers and the way they express themselves. That's what helps me even on this video. It's like right before the video, we're like, okay, what's the topic? Oh, okay, 1, 2, 3 points. Okay, I can make a lot of content on these particular topics because I'm comfortable in fact that I have enough vocabulary to support that, and I can also express my thoughts without anything like any, what do I say next? I'm not sure if this is good enough or not. I don't feel the urge to overtalk someone, and I don't feel an urge to like jump every time there's like a pause. So enjoy the power of silence. You gotta be a good listener. You gotta handle that because otherwise you're just not going to be as successful as your potential. And we obviously want you to live your life to the fullest potential possible. And communicating with other people is the biggest part of my life personally. I put the things on a priority list of what I actually care about. And the top was my peers. The top one was my peers, my friends, and people that are close to me. I realized that no matter how much money I have, no matter how much I travel, no matter how many people I teach, none of that matters as long as I can't share it with someone. Even if I have like a Lamborghini and I have duffel bag like full of cash, I'm not gonna enjoy it just by myself. I'll get bored in a week. Imagine like somebody tells you, oh, look, you know what? You can't make a new friend. Also, by the way, you can't socially communicate with anyone. And now we give you a Lambo and a bag of cash. You're probably gonna get bored very, very soon. And it's inevitably that point will happen. You'll realize, oh, wow, actually having friends and amazing family and relationship with everyone is a big part of life. And being a good listener and creating that power and understanding that power of silence behind it is very, very important in your life in general.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you described exactly how to actually do that. And you kind of really went into how if you kind of create that opening, you create that lane for the other person to talk and communicate, and you actually dive deep and find out what is their agenda and what is their, I like to call it PD, primary driver emotion. What's that primary driver emotion that the person is having? What is on their mind? What are they after? What truly is their agenda? Now, we want to kind of think that everyone is agenda-less, but if you're trying to talk to somebody, you're trying to network with them, they have some agenda, and it's if you can kind of pull that out of them and you can pull out the different topics of conversation to the point where they actually feel like a good talker, even though they're not necessarily a great talker. Well, by creating that vacuum, by doing less, you're actually going to get them to spill the beans. You're going to get them to kind of say what their true intentions are, and they're going to feel much more connected to you. We get really hung up sometimes on high status or low status. It's not that necessarily these people are better or worse. It's that if you've deemed somebody to be somebody who has that halo effect, if you feel that you are already perceiving somebody else's higher status, it's good to be aware of this. It's good to be aware of the fact that automatically you are seeing that they have something to offer you. They have something to offer the world. So that's why your mind is kind of wandering into that halo effect. That's why you start to wonder, why are they doing this or why are they doing that? You start to kind of look for evidence of that high status. It's just kind of where our minds tend to wander. Now, what you can start to do then is if you start to see that happening, you mentioned sometimes with high status people on a yacht, or I sometimes do events in Miami. Say you're in Art Basel in Miami, or say that you're on some yacht in Ibiza, or I do a lot of networking events in Cabo. When I'm with these high status people, you have to realize that if you've deemed that there's something that you can learn from somebody, or that there's a reason to network with somebody, or to basically be around that person in general, you have to catch yourself. You have to catch yourself when you are doing too much, because it's going to oddly enough be perceived as an inauthentic manipulation. It's going to be perceived as if you are trying to get something from those people. So oddly enough, the natural thing and the comfortable thing might be to overqualify yourself, over-explain yourself, and really try to kind of get in the faces of these people that you've seen to have that halo effect for yourself, or to have that high status, when in reality, the best thing to do is take a deep breath.
Recenter. In your reality, you're the star of the movie, not them.
Feel your feet firmly in the ground. Feel your feet, or, in kind of our cases on the yacht, in the boat. Feel your feet. Just take a really deep breath. And then relax. Allow them to communicate why they are in fact so high status. You've gotten yourself into that position where you've met that person. You almost have to congratulate yourself that you've really done the work to now be around the people or person that you want to be around. So then take that deep breath, channel that into a conversation with that person, but just be cognizant of when your brain starts to go haywire. Be cognizant of when you start to ramble, when you start to then say things that maybe justify why you feel certain ways about certain things.
Anything done in self-qualification, probably bad.
Yeah, you never want to really explain yourself, because explaining yourself isn't really a good way of conversation. Think about how you talk with your best friend. When you talk with your best friend, you say these statements where then they have this natural flow where you say a statement, they say a statement. You don't really have to say why you feel a certain way about a thing. You don't have to explain yourself on why you took a certain action. You just explain the story as it happened. You just kind of explain your viewpoints rather than explaining why and the subtext underneath, the underlying subtext of why you feel a certain way. When you start to speak like that, you end up having a lot more brevity. You end up having a lot more concise way of speaking, which is then going to get carried in terms of you being high status and looking high status to the other person, which then is the end result is going to be a much better conversation.
Yeah, I would say that you got to remember you are the star of the movie. You are the prince or princess of the movie. They are a guest star in your movie. Now, look, I'm an empathetic person. Luke's an empathetic person. We want to have empathy for people. So make sure you're aware of how you're affecting people. For sure, it's got to be a win-win. That being said, the second that you shift that awareness onto the other person and they've become the center of your RAS, your reticular activation system, and when your RAS is going haywire on that person and losing the centeredness in your own movie, all of a sudden you're going into what's called self-qualification. And here's what it means. Ideally, what you want to have is you want to be centered in your own energy, present to the moment, the star of your movie. But if instead what happens, you stop being the hero in your own movie and you make somebody else the hero of the movie, your RAS is going haywire, you're feeling this frenetic sort of non-Zen state, right? You're out of your inner Zen. You're out of alignment. You're out of your centeredness. You're not grounded, and you're reaching to them too much. By doing that, having that reaching, it'll cause you to overtalk, or conversely, here's what may happen. You'll hear this video saying, talk less, and then you'll undertalk. But here's the thing. You're not going to be undertalking because you're chill. You're undertalking because you're being weird. It's very weird, the fact that you're coming at this trying to be extra quiet, because even that's reactive. Anything unnatural is just, it's not you centered, not you the hero of your own movie. It's too reactive. Too much talking, too little talking. Over explaining, under explaining, because you're like, stiff. I can't explain. I'm going to make a mistake. That's not good either. That's not expressive either. And what you want to do is minimize any kind of communication that has to do with self-qualifying, because the problem is it skews what's called the buyer-seller dynamic. Say that with us. The buyer-seller dynamic. Say it with me, Luke. The buyer-seller dynamic. And more important than self-qualifying and showing the person why you're cool is not allowing that buyer-seller seesaw to get skewed. Somebody would probably interact with another person where they feel like they're qualifying to them. Even if that person has less going for them, they'll be more likely to give value to that person than if you have a ton of stuff to offer, but you keep qualifying it, which sets people off. It triggers their BS detector. They're going, why does this person care so much? This is inauthentic. This isn't natural. This person wants to give what they have too much. It probably is of low value. You want to think of anything scarce and how people line up and chase around it. That being the case, how do you get people chasing around you where you control that frame? Self-amusement. Start joking around. We said, things like brevity and explaining less is great, but you know what's great to actually show more of? Joking around. But again, if you joke around out of self-qualification, like, ha, 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 I am a clown, I'm a dancing monkey, well, now you're in the same problem. But what you can do to mitigate that is in your general day-to-day life, something that you would do on your own either way. What you do is you just joke around yourself with your friends. You make a perspective that is so fun and other people want to be part of it. And then when you're talking to another person, you don't have what's called puppet syndrome or marionette syndrome, where you're walking around kind of low energy, trying to take value from the world because you're not in a good paradigm. We made a video about having fun where we discussed that on Ocean Avenue. And then all of a sudden someone comes in, whoop, whoop. You read the strings pull and you're like, fun, or quiet. You want to reach a point where being charismatic, being high status, being attractive is not something you do. It's something you are. And so the more that you can get present to the moment, enjoy life, find self-amusement, and be the hero in your own movie, the more that other people will be attracted to you, and the more that you'll say that kind of one perfect thing. You'll say that thing that reflects that you have a lot of alliances, that you're the hero in your own movie, that you value the other person, that you're willing to engage with them, but that your RAS isn't going haywire. And when you do that, that allows you to be around super cool people in a natural way. You're not overthinking it. And ironically, by watching a video like this, you're going to try to do it, which it's good that you're trying to do it, but it could also, again, make all these little criteria that you're trying to beat. It's not a game to beat. It's a life to live. So that being the case, what you got to do is make a decision. This is your life. It's your fun. It's your movie. You're the hero in your own movie. There's other amazing people. They're great. You got to wish them best of luck. You got to want the best for them and find that win-win, but you're the hero in your own movie. We want to see you. We want to meet you out on the streets, see you out doing cool stuff, see you on your Instagram, all the cool stuff that you're doing, living an awesome life. And again, living that life as the hero of your own movie, enjoying yourself, making something beautiful. Life is so short. You got to enjoy it to the fullest. Don't let other people steal your power. Build your own power and share out value in a natural, proper way to other people. Anyway, we're actually shooting off to Nikki Beach to go out right now here in Miami, and there'll be lots of people that are like that, and we'll be having a great time. So we'll see you soon. Peace.